How much training is too much training for children? Parents these days putting too much pressure on kids to perform. In this video I'll discuss the effects of overtraining in children and the impact this has not only on their physical health but psychological health as well. I will also discuss the link this has with pushy parents and the increased emphasis on competitive success. Firstly, overtraining is defined as physical, behavioural and emotional conditions that one experiences when the volume and intensity of exercise exceeds their recovery period. Now obviously training the body's threshold has many benefits. Most studies conclude that putting an amount of physical stress on our body allows us to adapt, develop and grow. This is as long as an appropriate recovery period has been established. Recovery in children is critical. It is as important to the training regime as the physical activities itself. And this is where pushy parents are starting to get it wrong. Training begins to become a problem when an excessive amount of stress is applied to the body without an allocated recovery period. Studies have shown that between 50 to 60% of sport-related injuries in children today are due to overuse. Due to growing cartilage and growth in general, children are prone to specific injuries, and the added stress can in fact provoke the injury from the accumulation of repeated micro-trauma. These days, many kids are suffering from overuse injuries, such as Sever's disease and Osgood-Schlatter's disease, which occurs when the skeletal system is growing so rapidly that the soft tissue cannot keep up, causing serious muscle tightness around these prone areas. If there is repeated stress applied to these areas, one can see how this will aggravate the injury seriously. The other big issue is chronic fatigue, which you can imagine ultimately impacts a child's all-round health. There have been a number of cases where young top-class athletes burn out due to fatigue. You can imagine this will not only impact their training, but also their breaks from training, which brings me to my next topic, the child's psychological health. The child's psychological health is also a serious concern. Children suffer abnormally high levels of anxiety and stress due to competition, as well as the pressure of parents to perform, which is enormous. There have been many incidences where the overwhelming stress in top-class athletes has led to aggressive outbursts and meltdowns. Imagine the impact this has on a child when looking back. Because the recurring incidences of these situations are so high, there have been a number of bans in high-performance competition in specific sports for younger athletes due to the harmful long-term effect it can bring. I think these days children are seen as mini adults when it comes to sport. There is too much emphasis on success in the sport and potentially the income it can provide. It has been said in many papers I have revised that it is widely believed that in order to achieve a world-class standard at a senior level, it is necessary that the competitors begin an intensive training regime well before puberty. This can definitely be true in some cases, but the detrimental effects this will cause on most of the participants is huge. Children's bodies are not developed like adults, as I discussed. There is still a crucial course of development children must go through well until the end of puberty. Now all of this is not to say children cannot and should not train to succeed, but special precautions and procedures must be followed when training young athletes, and an appropriate recovery time as well as time away from the sport should be encouraged to allow development to progress in other areas of life. Overuse injuries are definitely growing in children. Parents need to make sure they are not trying to live their dreams through their kids. Allow them to develop at their own pace and ensure they are receiving the rest time required to actually improve from their performance. Thank you.